I will bring in Robert Driscoll of past DOJ fame and also the attorney for Maria Butina, the Russian agent who just pled out. Get a little more insight from you on this. Rudy Giuliani, is the president's defense attorney. He can sort of want whatever he wants from Robert Mueller, but can't really force the hand, can he?
Yeah, I'm reminded by, I think it was Kelly who said, the enemy gets a vote as to when the war ends. He can want it, but he's not really in control. It'll end when Mueller says it ends.
This is Rudy Giuliani also this morning on Fox and Friends sort of issuing the ultimatum. Take a listen. We'll get your thoughts.
My ultimatum is put up or shut up, Bob. I mean, what do you have? There are those of us who believe you don't have anything on collusion. And by the way, if you did, it's not a crime. So what the heck are you doing? Do you have anything that shows the President of the United States was involved in a conspiracy to hack the DNC with Russia? Of course you don't.
Have you seen anything?
I mean, he's right from a public perspective, but that's kind of meaningless because you don't know what Mueller has. He's doing what a good defense lawyer would do. He's trying to press for the end of the case. But, I mean, he's, in some sense, it's a bluff because he doesn't know what Mueller has. So he's just saying, you don't have anything, I haven't seen anything, and come up with it. And Mueller may or Mueller may not.
One thing that Mueller has, at least appears to have been very strategic in, number one, is not leaking out of his office. It's unbelievable how tight they have kept things. But two, there are all these little crumbs in all of these filings, much of which are redacted, but then there's these key points. How close does it appear to you that Mueller has gotten to the inner circle of Trump world in this sense?
It is very hard to judge that, and I think that lawyers who do are at great peril because this case isn't going to end in an indictment of the president, as we know, because you can't indict the president under DOJ rules. And where it's going to end in a report, a lot of the tea leaves we would normally read, you can't read in this case. So, for example, the fact that people are having sentencings usually wouldn't sentence cooperators until they were done cooperating in a trial. So in a normal case, you'd say, well, they're sentencing the cooperators, the principal's off the hook, but you can't conclude that here because the end result may be a report to Congress, not an indictment in a trial. They may not need any, Flynn or Manafort or anyone to testify at a trial. They just may need their statements in a report. So it's very hard to judge the normal, and I think a lot of the kind of classic analysis that goes on misses that point, that Mueller's doing a very different task here. He's finishing a report, not necessarily leading to an indictment.
It seems, though, it's very clear he's still in the evidence gathering stage. We know about this Supreme Court case about which there is unbelievable secrecy, sealed subpoenas, and then clearing floors of courthouses when they have arguments about it, and now written arguments due to the Supreme Court tomorrow. Is there anything to read into that?
Again, it's impossible other than speculation. I mean, I think one thing to keep in mind is appellate courts, particularly the Supreme Court, are much more interested in jurisdictional issues than either the public or lower courts. And so when you have a foreign government and a foreign-owned entity, there's a question of whether there's U.S. jurisdiction. Whatever was in that briefing, Chief Justice Roberts saw something that caught his eye and wants to hear a little bit more. But I think it's hard to know whether that's a banking issue or whether it's something else.
Either way, it does show you, though, that this isn't over yet, right? I mean, this seems to indicate the opposite of what Rudy Giuliani's Christmas wish is.
Right. I mean, there's still clearly some threads to pursue. Some things are hinting that it could be over in the medium term. It'll be 2 years in March, I think. That may be a goal that a special prosecutor might set. But I just don't think you can. I mean, there's still active litigation going on because obviously if these documents get turned over from country A, what's in them, and where does that lead?
All right, we may not even know whether they get turned over or not, considering how much secrecy surrounds that. All right, arguments due, I think it's by 5 p.m. tomorrow, so we'll see what is unsealed on that. Mr. Driscoll, always good to see you, Counselor.
Good to see you.
All right.